do like the first. everybody? This is the Grow Ortho live stream. I am Zach Dykes. I am joined with Harrison Bagden, our senior specialist. What was the name of it?
Senior practice advisor.
Senior practice advisor.
Call me whatever you want.
Whatever.
Just not late to dinner.
Yeah. We're excited. We're here. We're going to be talking about all of the things that you can be doing to help improve your practice. I'm very, very excited about it. Let us know how you are. Let us know where you're watching from down in the chat. How this works is once we get going, we're going to be talking about all the stuff you can do to improve your practice. The second half of it, we're going to be taking questions from the viewers. So make sure to go in, type your question. You can literally go ahead and type a question right now, and we'll make sure to save it in the end to make sure to answer it. So Harrison is here. He's going to be giving all the goodies away for everybody. So make sure to put that in the chat. So Harrison, how's it going?
Going well, man. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. Are you excited about this?
I'm super excited. I've been looking forward to it all week.
Yeah, me too, man. So, I think the biggest thing for people that are jumping in and everything as we get just rolling is, to know that where you're coming from, like your experience, how many practices that you've, helped lead and everything.
Yeah.
Like tell a little bit about like who you are, where you come from, and how many people that you've helped with their practice.
Yeah. Quick story. I'm 31. I'm turning 32 on Sunday.
Congrats.
This weekend. I've been in marketing and sales now for about 12 years, just as a whole, as a career. I've been here at HIP for a little over 6 years now. I guess that just hit me. Half my career has been here at HIP. But HIP was my first introduction into the ortho and dental world. In the time that I've been here, I don't have an exact count, but hundreds upon hundreds of practices I've had the opportunity and the pleasure and the honor of helping, whether it's with their phones, with their sales, with operations, hundreds of practices, maybe 1,000, but we'll say lots of hundreds.
Lots of hundreds.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, like one of the big things that I wanted to jump into and welcome everybody again. I see Brendan over there. Welcome. Hope you're doing
Brendan.
well. One of the big things that practices struggle with is new patient consults. They're extremely long. They're kind of comically long. So how would you help a practice get their new patient consult down to 30 minutes?
Yeah. Great question. I think, personally, I think that the 60-minute long consult is it's a little old school. I've seen it done. I've seen it done very well. But in today's world, speed is the name of the game. And it's
Yes.
not necessarily speed in terms of how fast can you be in and out with a patient. Like there's still a lot of value to giving time, spending time with your patients. Nobody likes to feel like they're in a mill. Where I'm talking about speed, I'm talking about the speed at which you can get somebody in. And in a very traditionally structured practice on 60-minute consults, like the average practice has somewhere between 5 and 7 exam openings, or maybe not openings, but 5 and 7 slots a day. And if they're, prominent in the community, or they get a lot of referrals, or maybe they start spending a lot of money on marketing, 5 to 6 consult slots can get booked up very quickly. And next thing you know, you're booking people out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even 2 weeks, I think is a long time to wait in today's world. I remember when we first started working with Dr. Sparkman, once we turned on his marketing, he got booked out 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think the old traditional train of thought is, well, if I'm booked out many, many weeks, that's a good thing.
Means I'm successful.
Yeah, and I do get that, right? Like there's a desire, you've got more people that want to come in than you can serve, but I think if somebody wants to grow, but most importantly, if they want to grow quickly, being booked out is not an advantage, because your typical consumer, let's say that's me, I'm a 30-something-year-old, I'm not going to wait weeks to do it.
No.
So there's many strings to pull on how to shorten consults. Obviously, the first thing people go to is how much time is the doctor spending in the consult room. You know, I've talked to docs they're in the consult room for 20 minutes. I remember Luke and I were consulting with a guy who's in the consult room for almost 30 minutes long.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
You know, and while I think that's awesome that the doctor wants to spend that much time with the patient, in my mind, the time to really like spend the time with the patient is once they're in your clinic and you're actually treating them.
Yeah.
So the first thing to look at is how much time is the doctor spending in the room. And for any docs that are watching or watch the replay that maybe are in there for 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes, and, you know, they've got the x-rays up and they've got the photos up and they're, you know, literally, as I would say, they're like teaching dental school in the consult room. People may like that in the beginning, but what I'd encourage you to do is go out to your clinic next day you're in the practice and go find some people that have been in treatment with you for 6 months or a year, and go ask them, hey, Mr. Zach, do you remember our initial consult together?
Not at all.
Yeah, they might remember the consult, but I'd say, I'd ask them, how much of all that information that I ran you through do you remember?
Yeah.
And I deal with this with my doctors too, like in the sales process. Like, let's go back. How much do you actually remember from the sales presentation we went to?
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, I remember that you're going to do marketing and you're going to get the phone to ring and we're going to grow the practice. They don't remember any of the nitty-gritty details. And so the thing is that information, talking to them about what this occlusion means and what this malocclusion means and what this, that doesn't sell the case, right? People don't buy information and people don't buy logic. They buy on emotion and feeling. They use logic to justify the emotion.
Yeah. Anytime you buy something and then you got to go to the wife and it was like, well, it was a really good price. Like, but it was emotion. It's like, I really want that.
Yeah, exactly. I actually just went through this myself when we had the snowstorm in Pensacola. My fiance, she drives about 30 minutes or so to get to work, and there's, the roads aren't good. And I said, babe, like take my car. It's got all-wheel drive. And I drove her car to work like 5 minutes down the street. And I was like, and here's the emotion. The emotion was, I knew I was going to get her a new car at some point. I wanted her to have a nice new car. But initially I was going to wait till after we got married.
Yeah.
But emotionally, I'm like, I want my lady to have a nice new car. She's going to look good. She's going to feel good. Da-da-da-da-da. What was the logic that I used to justify it is I drove her car 5 minutes down the road to our office, and I was like, oh, no. This is not going to work. This is not safe. She can't drive in inclement weather. The roads are wet. Nope. And I literally bought her a car that day. So coming back to the point is all of this information that we're exuding in the console room, it doesn't move the needle. The patient might feel good and go, oh, man, Dr. Zach spent so much time with me.
Yeah.
But they're not going to remember any of that. So coming back to your point, the first thing is how much time is the doctor spending in the room? I don't like to put these cookie cutter time limits on it where it's like, well, you can't be in there more than 2 minutes or you can't be in there more than 5 minutes. But I think 5 minutes, maybe 10 if it's a really extreme case or you've got a really concerned parent or a really talkative adult, 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
But the sweet spot, I think, is like 5 minutes. So that's the first thing, is how much time is the doctor spending in the room? The next thing on shortening consult length is how much time is it taking to get records done and get photos done?
Yeah.
I was out in an office. We'll leave the location out of it. But I was out in an office, and maybe I was hallucinating, but it was taking almost 20 minutes to get photos and x-rays done.
Whoa.
Like when I went in for my consult with Dr. Sarah at Fishbine, like they blocked me for 30 minutes. I had photos done, x-rays done, exam completed. That was all done in less than 20 minutes. We went over fees. I was in the clinic getting my braces on. So doctor time is one. Next is how much time is it taking to get records and photos done? Also, what kind of photos and records are we taking? I know some people do pan and ceph and full intraoral photos and then take an iTero scan. I don't think an iTero scan is necessarily needed. You know, I know there's that smile simulation and you can see how you're going to look. I think most people that are coming into an ortho office know what straight teeth look like.
Yeah, and like I understand that it's like trying to sell them. What's the conversion rate on that?
I don't know. It's anecdotal. I don't know the answer, but to show them here's what your teeth look like now, and here's what they're going to look like. To me, it's a waste of time. They know what their teeth look like. They look at them every day. That's why they're in your office.
Yep.
They also know what a beautiful smile, great occlusion, straight teeth looks like. So it's just added time, number one. Number two, if you're taking the iTero scan at the consult or before the doctor sees them, if you're trying to do same-day starts and you're a primarily digital practice, meaning you're selling a lot of aligners or other digital treatments, to me, the scan is the same-day start. Right? Your average consumer doesn't know that the scan is like a luxury or it's an extra thing that you're doing.
Yeah.
They just assume this is part of the x-rays and the photos.
Yeah.
So now if I want to start, I think there's something to be said that if I'm going to start today and you can't put the aligners in my mouth or you can't bond me today and I'm going to make a down payment and pay you today, I want to feel like I'm getting some sort of service elicited at that time. Well, if we've already taken the scan, one, it added time into the records. Two, the scan's already done. The average consumer isn't going, oh, wow, like they gave me a scan today. They just think it's part of the x-rays. And now if I make a down payment, you go, all right, we'll see you in 6 weeks when your aligners get in. Like if we hold the scan off, we go, oh, great, we can start today. And what that means is we're going to get you in the clinic. We're going to take a scan. And now I feel like I've paid to start treatment. So we've got doctor time, we've got records. The next thing is the TC running the consult start to finish? Meaning, is the TC's job to take records and take photos and go through the consult and go through fees? I think it can be tricky. I've seen many people do it. But if the TC's in charge of records, photos, and the consult, it makes it a little harder to shorten that because if something runs over time, there's a patient waiting. So the next key to shorten the consults is either have a dedicated records tech.
Yeah.
And records tech is just doing photos and records all day long. Now, if you have 2 consult rooms, a TC can actually run 2 rooms or run 2 columns by themselves because all they got to do is bounce from room to room or bounce from patient to patient when the records is taken care of. If you have a little bit smaller team and maybe payroll or team structure doesn't support just a full-time records tech, well, have a couple assistants that are all x-ray certified, x-ray trained, and have them kind of play as part-time records tech. So if you take that off the TC's plate, records are done by somebody who's doing it all day, and that can be done in like 5 to 10 minutes max.
And they've got the experience. It's not someone having to shift gears and trying to get that
and
mindset.
if I'm a good TC, I've probably taken a lot of records, but again, it's like I'm getting out of my flow.
Yeah.
1 minute, I'm talking to patients, going over fees, discussing treatment. Next thing you know, I'm back in the x-ray room taking x-rays. So those are kind of the big levers are taking records off the TC's plate, shortening doctor time, and just keeping the records part as simple as possible. Only what is needed for the doctor to come up with a treatment plan.
So my next question with that, go a little bit further, is now that you've got it very efficient and, assuming you get it under 30 minutes, how do you make the patient still feel like they're being valued and not being rushed through the process?
Well, there's we've all heard the word rapport, right? And as our trainers have said, rapport stands for really all people prefer people resembling themselves.
Yep.
So you can make somebody feel extremely taken care of, extremely personalized, a great experience just by getting in rapport with people.
Mm-hmm.
And to get in rapport with people, it's really about talking to them about what they want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in consults where the doctor's in there for 20 or 30 minutes and they never actually get in rapport with people because the doctor's on their point.
Yeah.
They're not on the patient's point.
Yep.
The patient might just want to know how long, how much.
Yeah.
And here we are going over x-rays, making this feel like a surgical procedure.
Mm-hmm.
And like you'll see some people's face and they're going, oh my gosh, like I've got a class 1 occlusion. Now, Zach, class 1 occlusion, that's a good thing. Like that's where you want to be. And they're, oh my God, I got a class. This feels serious. I thought I was coming in and getting braces today. Now we're looking at x-rays of my skull.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't think that people feeling like they're taken care of, feeling like it's personalized, I don't think that has a lot to do or has everything to do with, excuse me, with how much time you spend them. Most people actually prefer to spend less time.
Yeah.
If I gave a busy doctor in the middle of the day who's going to have a call with me, if I gave them the choice, hey man, we can spend 2 hours on Zoom going through every marketing detail possible that you're not going to remember in 3 months. You spend 2 hours, spend as much time with you, or we can spend 30 minutes together and I'm going to show you how you're going to go from 1 million to 2 million in 12 months. What do you think most people would prefer?
They're going to pick the 30 minutes.
How do I go from where I am to where I want to be in the shortest amount of time possible?
Mm-hmm.
But if I spend 2 hours with you and I'm not on your point
Yep.
and I'm on my point, am I actually making the person feel taken care of?
No. And it goes to John Maxwell does like the 30-second rule when he like first comes in contact with somebody. In 30 seconds, he makes sure that they know that they matter to him.
That's right. Communicate with every person like they are literally the most important person in the world in this moment right now. And you can do that without spending tons of time.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would prefer less time on their point than more time on your point.
Yes. That's great. I love that because that goes into making sure that it is in 30 minutes. And that's going to make the same day starts go up as well.
Well, that's right. And I mean, I've been to some cool ortho offices, man. Like they're fun, they're upbeat, there's music bumping, it smells nice, there's Dippin' Dot, like just cool stuff. Even the coolest office I've been to, never once did I hear a patient leaving the front door going, man, I really wish that appointment took longer.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever said that.
No.
Nobody's ever said that. So, and if they have said that in your office, you've got to be the needle in the haystack. But again, being efficient and being in rapport is not a mutually exclusive relationship to giving someone a good experience or a bad experience. These two can operate together.
I 100% agree with that. Now, moving to another little thing to think about is how can we streamline the consultation with technologies, maybe getting forms submitted beforehand, maybe introducing some AI stuff in that. Like, what are some things that you're seeing doctors do effectively?
The more digital you can be with forms, the better. I remember Luke and I think that's becoming pretty customary. I haven't met too many people who are still like mailing forms in the mail prior to an appointment, but Luke and I did consult for a practice. And if you're watching this, you know who you are, and I love you, brother. But I remember we were consulting with them, and they were still sending new patient paperwork and health history forms, literally sending them to via snail mail to their house. But here's the thing with forms. I don't care how easy you make it, how digital you make it. Anybody watching this knows that people getting their forms filled out before the appointment is the bane of our existence.
Yep.
I am not excited to say, but the reality is I didn't have my forms filled out before I got in for the appointment. I think to stay on time and to keep it efficient, it's planning for what we know is probably going to happen.
Yep.
I see people get stuck on shorter consults when the people come in, when the patients come in, they don't have their forms filled out, and the front desk or the TC is like, the forms aren't filled out. Like, what do we do? And it like throws the whole thing off. Like, we should know that most people don't get this stuff done. My dad used to tell me, hope for the best and plan for the worst.
Yep.
So let's just plan that most people aren't going to do it. What's that going to look like? We give it to them as soon as they check in. I think the other thing, and this might lead into one of our next topics on, I think we're going to talk same-day starts at some point, but it's really about the expectations that are set on the phone. You know, if we're just on the phone and go, okay, see you on Thursday, bye. You know, we haven't really set the TC up for success, and then it ends up taking more time explaining other things. So,
yeah. And kind of moving into same-day starts, I want to hit this one first is, what are some common objections that slow down the consult and then thus slowing down a same-day start?
Well, we all know why somebody's not going to start same day. We all know why somebody's going to need to think about it.
Money.
It's the finances, and it's I need to talk to my spouse or my significant other.
Yep. And
so it still befuddles me today when I talk with TCs and I go, you know what? Why aren't the people starting? They go, they got to think about the money. I go, is this your first day on the job? I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, or why aren't they starting? Well, they just keep saying they need to talk to their husband. Again, is this your first day on the job? Like, we should know this, right? Like, we know why somebody's going to need to think about it. So, kind of going back to the phones, you know, when I'm consulting with people and they ask, you know, how do we increase conversion rate, and what can my TC do, and what can my TC say? Well, here's the thing is, if expectations haven't been set properly at the time of scheduling, I don't care how good the TC is, it's still a 50-50 shot if those objections are going to come up.
Yeah.
Like Scott and Julie talk about vaccinating against objections. Well, if an objection comes up, that objection actually, the beginning of that came up 3 steps ahead, 3 steps before this. So when somebody's saying, oh, well, that's more money than I thought, I need to think about it, or oh, I need to go talk to my spouse, that's actually a result of something that happened 3 steps before. What happened 3 steps before? That would be the telephone call. And so when I'm listening to calls, there's no pre-closing, there's no pre-selling, there's no, and if you don't like the words closing or selling, guys, it's just expectations and facilitation. That's all closing and selling is.
Cause and effect.
Right. So if we don't like those words, use expectations and, well, I lost my word, expectations and, I just lost my other word.
I lost it too. Facilitations.
Facilitation. There you go. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Expectation and facilitation. But I think the biggest thing you can do, the easiest thing you can do, the most impactful thing you can do, not just to increase conversion rate, but to increase same-day start conversion rate, and also to help shorten the consult. How much time is spent going back and forth on, you know, the money, and how do you need the, oh, you can't do $1,000 down? Well, let's try $750. Well, let's try $500. And oh, you need to talk to your spouse. And oh, here's your little folder. So much of this can be handled on the phone call.
Yeah, like setting that up, giving the expectation. We've got some great practices that do that. It's like, oh, it's 300 down and 150 a month.
Yeah, and whatever numbers you want to use. I don't care if you do, even if you do $1,000 down payment, I wouldn't recommend it. But there's a big difference. What I'm getting at here is I'm not a big proponent of giving fees over the phone. I am a proponent of giving expectations on the phone.
Yeah.
There's a difference, right? If I say, well, I don't know how much your fee is going to be, but it'll be somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000. I've never met you. I don't know you. I don't know what you look like. I've never been to your office. I have no idea that this is a premium experience. To the average family, just hearing, yeah, it's $7,000 on the telephone, not great. That could be somebody's monthly paycheck. That could be more than somebody's monthly paycheck.
Yeah.
Okay. So the expectation is if we know that 95 to 99.999% of people are going to need to talk to their significant other, what do they need to do that? They need an expectation of what this is going to look like. So I could say something on the phone like, hey, Zach, any other questions? Nope, no other questions. All right. Well, a question a lot of people ask us is how much it's going to cost. I don't know if that might be something rumbling around in your head. So I don't know exactly how much little Johnny's treatment is going to be because we've got some people that are in treatment for a year or less. We've got some people that are in treatment for over 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know that. That's why we do a free consult and x-rays and doctor exam, et cetera. But what I can tell you, and I'm taking a pause from the script here. I'm trying to future pace them here, right? I'm kind of planting the seed, and that might sound like, and just so you can have that conversation with your spouse before y'all even come into the office, just to save you guys some time, right? I'm not just telling them fee expectations. I'm reiterating why I'm telling you this fee expectation, which is, hey, just so you can have that conversation with your spouse before y'all even come in, what are we doing here? We're vaccinating against the I need to talk to my spouse. So just so you can have that conversation with your spouse before y'all come in on Thursday, I did just want to let you know we make things super affordable here. Whether this is a super simple case or a super complex case, never let money be the reason people don't start and have excellent treatment. Every single person at our office can start for as little as, and we'll make sure your monthly payments are always under. And then if you want to sweeten that up a little bit, you could even say, oh, and by the way, Zach, that's like absolute worst case scenario. That's not even factoring in insurance. I got your insurance on file. If you have some benefits, it's going to be even lower. Is that something that's in your guys' budget?
Yeah, that sets it up in such a beautiful way because, again, hey, this is where we're at. Go talk to that person.
Future pace.
Yeah, and I think if more people do that in anything, know, in life or whatever, but in the practice, man, it's going to make the consult so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to make the records easy. Like, they're going to come in excited instead of, oh, what is the number?
You know what's crazy to me, Zach, is the amount of people that come into an orthodontic office, they block an hour of the practice team's time, an hour of time, 10 to 20 minutes of the doctor's time for free. And they're coming in with zero intentions of starting treatment that day.
Yeah.
They are coming in and taking an hour of your time literally just to find out how much it costs. What a shame.
Yeah.
So I'll hear people that were like, well, we need to pre-qualify our patients better so, we get a credit card on file before they schedule their appointment in case they no-show. Okay. That might pre-qualify some people, but could I give you a credit card to hold my spot? 100% I'm going to show up so you don't charge me a $50 fee and still have zero intentions of starting. Or come in, I've given you my credit card, only to find out I can't afford this. Instead of trying to pre-qualify people with a credit card to hold the spot, why don't you just pre-qualify them with, I don't know, a pretty good expectation of what it's going to cost?
Yeah.
If I say, hey, everybody can start for $500 and I'll make sure the payments are always under $200. Someone goes, oh, I can't afford that. Well, I'd rather pre-qualify them on that. If they can't afford a $400 down payment and a $199, $169 a month payment, ortho might not be in the cards for them right now. Yeah. I'd rather them leave and not schedule knowing that expectation than like reserving the spot with a credit card only to take 60 minutes of my time to find out that they can't afford it. So
because how much is the doctor's time worth? Is it worth $50 an hour or is it worth $2,000+ an hour? Just because you get that $50
Yeah.
isn't paying for the time.
It's not. It's not. And so when you stack it that way, it's like typically the conversion rate's going to be higher because they have an expectation. And I also know, and anybody watching knows, how many competing offices take this talk track on the phone. We don't give fees over the phone. You must come in and see us.
Mm-hmm.
As a consumer, I can't stand that. I'm like, really? Like, you do this all day long? You have no idea how much it's going to cost? If I'm the one beacon of reason in my area, I've called 5 people. We don't give fees over the phone. You must come in. And then I call your office, and you're like, oh, yeah. Here's the deal, Zach. I don't know exactly how much it's going to be. Here's what I can tell you. No matter what, braces, Invisalign, short, simple, complex is $400 to start. We'll make sure your payments are under $200. That's worst case scenario. If you have insurance, it's going to be even better. Where am I going? And now I'm like juiced to go start with you because you answered the question. And going back to what we were talking about, you were on my point, not on your point. Your point is you must come in, you must do an exam, you must pop, 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 pop. I agree they need to have an exam. I agree we need to take records. I agree the doctor needs to come in. But what a shame. You know, orthodontists love to be efficient. It's like the number one word I hear from orthodontists is efficient. I like to be efficient too. It seems pretty inefficient to me to give an hour of your practice's time just for people to come in and get a quote.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
So talking about, same day starts, let's jump into that a little bit more. We've talked about some objections and everything. What are some specific things that the TC can be doing in their scripting to help that conversion rate?
I really think the same day start gets set up on the phone call more than it does in the consult room.
So it's the call center or the front desk that's doing really the foundational work for this to actually happen.
If I had to choose between if I got a scale of 1 to 10, 10's a rock star, 1 is no good. If I had to choose between a average phone script, average front desk, just kind of going through the motions, getting people on the schedule, and a rock star if I'm talking purely on same day starts, like signed contract, down payment, start.
Yeah.
Okay. Average on the phones, Rockstar TC versus average TC, Rockstar pre-selling and expectations. I'm going to take it on the front end every single time.
And that's because first impressions
matter, but I'm also on that call. Not only am I setting expectations of what you should expect with money, but I'm also at the end of that saying, hey, and I just want to let you know, if Dr. Zach does think that Johnny's ready for braces, we can save you a ton of time, and we can actually start treatment the day of the consult just so you don't have to take any more time off work, take him out of school again, and come back for an additional appointment like some other people make you do.
Future pacing once again.
Future pacing, right? There's a little more oomph to saying why the same day start is valuable to you versus just saying, hey, and if you want to, we can start treatment the same day. Half the people go, oh, that's awesome. That's great. Now they've already made it up in their head. Oh, that's one less time coming out of work and school. But the other half of the people go, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know.
It sounds more like, oh, you can pay us today.
That's exactly right. I want to future pace why it's important to you on your point, not my point.
Yep.
Right? Which is so that you don't have to come back for an extra appointment, so that you don't have to take any more time off work, take the kid out of school again, da-da-da-da-da. So I really think the same day start is definitely set up more on the call than anything. But once we're in the consult, things that TCs can do, again, future pacing. So maybe I'm coming in and it's like, you excited to get your braces on today, Johnny? I'm just curious, Johnny, do you already know what colors you want on your brackets?
That little thing, I'm not even getting braces, but I feel excited.
Right? That's different than, so do you want to get started today? It's a little salesy.
Yeah.
I got this doc out in another part of Florida. We'll just keep names out of it. I got to sit in some consults with him. This guy's been doing it a long time. He's one of the most awesome guys I've seen in a consult. He does his thing. He does an exam. He gives his notes. He's not thorough. He's very thorough, does exam, gives a note. But every time he leaves, he goes, "You excited to get your braces on today, Johnny?" And kid's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he goes, "Do you know what colors you want?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." He goes, "Awesome. I got a chair reserved for you in the clinic. I'll see you out there in like 10 minutes.
Ooh, that
And the
right
kid's
there.
like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." Right? That is future pacing the close versus, "So what would you need for me to get started today?"
Yeah.
Right?
Because you're getting the kid excited. And what parent is going to want, like, we can't do it. You know what I mean? The kid is like ecstatic
It's
about
going to be purple and pink and blue and yellow.
Yeah. So that's one way. Now, let's say we get all the way through it. We've done a good job on the phones. In the consult, we're future pacing them on what's going to happen, but we still get the hemming and the hawing because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen. Things to be having in our back pocket. Do we have a same-day start incentive if they need a little bit of extra oomph to push forward? Hey, totally all good if you want to go home and think about it. We're not going anywhere. I did just want to let you know that this week we are running a same-day start promotion. So I saw that, little Johnny was eyeing those clear brackets. The clear brackets are typically a $500 upcharge, but if you guys do want to just get started today, we'll go ahead and waive that. Or same-day start promotion could be like a down payment match. Hey, totally all good if you want to go home and think about it. Just want to let you know, today we are running a same-day start promo, and what that means is we'll match your down payment up to $500, or the toothbrush, or the whitening kit, whatever. So it's good to have something in your back pocket if you want to push more same-day starts. And then obviously being very confident if they still take the I need to talk to my spouse. Remember, delivery is everything. Like sales or facilitation, it's just a transference of energy. And so if you're like, I need to talk to my spouse, and I go, okay, well, would you like me to leave the room so you can call them?
that makes me feel tingle, like something's up.
Yeah. So confident, I could be like, oh, totally understand. Like, we're in the business. I'm over exaggerating. I'm not necessarily telling you to use these talk tracks. I'm trying to get you to get the energy here. But the energy, my mood is like we're in the business of success stories, not divorce stories. So, I totally get it. Like, I'll just step out of the room real quick if you want to give them a call. I'm assuming that they're going to do this. Totally understand. I'll step out real quick, give them a call. If you need me to hop on FaceTime or Doc to hop on FaceTime, just knock. I'll be stepping outdoor. Somebody who wants to do it is going to do that, or somebody was never going to sign no matter what is going to go, oh, no, you don't need to do that. And then I probably won't push anymore at that point, right? You could play with that if you know that your front desk is doing a great job at setting expectations, telling people that I'm giving you fee expectations so that you can have that conversation with your spouse. The fun one is like, yeah, totally understand. I'm just curious. Does your spouse know that you brought your son into the doctor's office today, or are we on a secret mission together today? It's a stupid question, but it's like, really? Like, your spouse doesn't know that you're here, but you have to be playful with that. Be like, what? To talk to your spouse? No, it's like, yeah, totally understand. Your spouse does know that you and Johnny came in to see the doctor today, right? Or are we on a little secret mission together?
Yeah, it's like tongue in cheek.
Yeah. No, of course he knows I'm here. Oh, obviously. Well, why don't I step out of the room real quick, give him a call? I'll be right out here. Knock if you need us. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a ton. And my question is, do you feel like the different types of leads that practices can get affects the quality or the conversion rate of same-day starts? Or is it all the same once you build that actual rapport?
I think if you were to break down like by referral source, by lead source, yes, there's definitely going to be a disparity in conversion rate. I think it'd be crazy to say not, and that's even for us here at HIP, like the conversion rate of a direct referral. Their best friend's been working with us for a couple years and has grown like wildfire. And they like just stick me in a text message with them like, hey, Hare, here's my best friend from residency.
Yeah.
I told him that you have me rolling in cash. Hey, bud, you should talk to Harrison. Like that obviously is going to be a higher conversion rate than somebody who sees our Facebook ad, never heard of us before, has no friends and colleagues that works with us. Like, yeah, that's crazy to think that there's not going to be a disparity in that. I think it's about your a good friend told me this one. He said it's not about your batting average, it's about your at bats. So maybe you've got a 95%. My favorite ones are people like, I have 110% conversion ratio. What?
How?
You need more consults, bro.
Yeah.
But like, seriously, if you've got over 100%, you need more consults. But if you've got a 90% conversion rate because every single one of your patients comes in as a direct referral, they're all teed up, they're literally handed to you on a silver platter, but you've got a 90% conversion rate, but you see 4 to 6 exams a day. However, I have a 60%, 65% conversion rate, but I see 15 exams a day. I'm going to run laps on you.
Yeah.
Right? Like to
It's
go
just
to the
numbers
hall.
at that point.
I don't like baseball. I find it boring, but it's a good example. To go to the Hall of Fame in baseball, you just got to go 3 for 10 your whole career. You bet 300. 3 for 10. 7 times out of 10, you strike out and go sit in the dugout and eat sunflower seeds. 3 times out of 10, your whole career, you go to the Hall of Fame. So I don't obsess over conversion rate unless it's like sub 50%. 50%'s low. But with enough exams, you can still do really well with a 50% conversion rate.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 90% conversion rate and you only see 4 exams a day and you're booked out 6 weeks, and then those people 6 weeks out don't show up, I'll run laps on you with my 50% all day long. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to realize it's like just because of where someone is coming from, the lead quality doesn't determine automatically if they're going to start or not.
Yeah, and it's not even a quality. Like, yes,
We all quote unquote.
Yeah,
quality.
we always say there's no bad leads. There are some bad leads, okay? Like, I don't know, you don't have any teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't say there's no bad leads if you don't have any teeth. Now, for a prosthodontist or somebody who does dentures or implants, that's like a A+ lead.
Yeah.
So it is contextual. But let's just say we're talking about somebody who has, teeth, a pulse, some sort of financial ability or financing. Let's just say those things are in alignment. That's where I get into, it's not about good lead, bad lead. It's about where are they at in their buying journey.
Yeah.
And that right there is one of the biggest X factors I've seen from people who scale super quick to people who are kind of more status quo. People who are status quo, if the lead is very early, right? Like this here is a new customer, new patient, new client. This is a stranger, right? People who are a little more status quo, they say, this is a bad lead. I say, no, this is not a bad lead. This is just a colder lead, right?
Yep.
The people who I've seen scale very quickly, they don't call these bad leads. They're okay with taking time to nurture them. It's just like, guys, it's just like your growth and observation pool, right? Like, is that a bad lead because they don't have full dentition? No. It's a savings account. right? And even though they came, and we don't think that's a bad lead, they're just too young. But just because they go into your growth and observation pool, is that guaranteed that they're going to start at your office? No, it's not. So with that train of thinking, I could say, oh, well, all these 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, bad leads. No, but we don't think that. We love our growth and observation because it's our piggy bank, and it might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. We have good retention. They're going to start with us. What if we took that same pattern of thinking to the 25-year-old adult who is just kind of starting to think about doing a liner treatment again?
Yep.
What if we took that same pattern of thinking and said all these cold leads, that's just another savings account. That's just another growth and observation pool. It's obviously not growth and observation. They're grown adults. But you guys, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that mindset shift. It's putting it into a different box that's actually
Right.
can function
Yeah.
instead of chunking it out the window. And
That's
someone's like, oh, this one's a little bit warm. And then they started another practice.
Well, for context, for anybody that's been following us for a while or seeing our ads or clicking on our stuff or getting our books or the podcast, whatever it is, I hope if you've been following us, you see that we're pretty good at teaching this stuff. Pretty good at what we do, I think. Let's talk volume and conversion rates for a moment.
Okay.
Inside of our pipeline of my leads or our leads at HIP, me and Melissa, right? At this point, we have, and I'm being conservative here, we've got 4,000 leads in our pipeline. People that have clicked on our stuff, you know, requested an appointment, no-showed us multiple times, bought the books, blah, 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 had sales calls with us, so whatever. 4,000 leads in the pipeline. I think we have 250 active partners, roughly.
Yeah.
If we're looking at volume and conversion rate, we would say Harrison has the lowest conversion rate on planet Earth. But it's about at-bats.
Yep.
It's not about batting average. We do pretty good, right? And so that's what just kills me with practice owners that are like really wanting to scale. Like I can feel it in their heart. They want to grow. They want to serve more people, but they get so locked into the, I got 100 leads and I only started 20. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's better than me. That's great. What about the other 80? Okay, let's take half of those, they don't have teeth. What about the other 40? If we had the right mindset and thinking about this the right way, that's my savings account. That's my nurture account. Probably, Zach, I'm being conservative. I'd say 50 to 60% of the people that start with us, like that sign up with HIP in a month, are not new leads. They're people that have been sitting in our pipeline for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, 3 years. And guess what they've done? They've scheduled appointments with us and no-showed us. And my favorite is they've no-showed us 3 times, whatever. And I really don't care. All my calls today no-showed, for the record. I had nobody show up today. Okay, happy Friday, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
My favorite is those people, they get on and I go, what's the biggest constraint in your business? Or why hasn't marketing worked? And they go, the no-shows. I'm like, hello, like, yeah, just no-showed me 3 times. I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's just a different pattern of thinking, you know?
So what are some ways that doctors can help incentivize their team to grow?
The easy answer to that is you want to incentivize the behavior that you want to see. So I'm not a huge fan. Take everything with a grain of salt because nothing fits into the same box. Okay? Everybody's practice is different. Everybody's team is different. This is just kind of a general overarching theme. I don't personally love just doing a blanket team bonus. You know, okay, we're going to grow. So if we hit our start numbers, everybody gets whatever.
Yeah.
Unless it's a teeny tiny team where everybody's doing a little bit of everything, I don't love doing that because you're not incentivizing a specific behavior.
Yeah.
You know, like to say that, you know, somebody who's making retainers in the lab should get the same level of bonus as somebody calling leads all day to get the schedule full, or an assistant, you know, skipping lunch to get a same day start in. Like, everybody should be incentivized. It's not that, oh, you're just making retainers, like you shouldn't benefit from the growth. No, if we're growing, guess what? You're making more retainers. Everybody should benefit, but you've got to incentivize the behavior you want to see. So just for today's talk, let's just look at front desk and TC.
Okay.
You know, it's easiest string to pull. More patients in the door, more patients in the chair starting.
Yep.
So we're just going to use round numbers. Let's say that our goal is we want to start 100 cases this month. Okay? That's our goal. So I'm going to incentivize the TC or TCs at 100 starts, probably have maybe more than one, but I'm going to incentivize the TCs. Their bonus is going to build on 100 starts. But for my schedulers, right, the scheduler doesn't necessarily have a role in, you know, obviously they're setting good expectations, but once the patient comes in, it's out of the front desk hand.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to reverse engineer my start goal. I've got 100 start goal, and let's just say that we average an 80% conversion. So to get 100 starts, I need 100 exams, or excuse me, I need 120 exams to show up.
Yeah.
Not scheduled, show up. So I'll incentivize, I'll build a bonus plan for TC on 100 starts, but I'll build a bonus plan for front desk or schedulers of 120 exams showed up. Right?
Yeah.
Because the only thing the schedulers can do is make sure the TC has enough volume. All right, so I'm going to incentivize on that behavior. I want this many exams showed up. I'm going to incentivize on this behavior, which is starts. And then, you know, assistants, you can incentivize on like, you know, emergencies. You know, if they keep their emergencies or their SOS appointments down low, they're going to be incentivized to make sure the brackets are properly bonded and the wires are cut in the back and everything is tied in, right? So just look at one, where the inefficiency is. Two, look at where the desired outcome and where the goal is, and then figure out what each single person in that office can do to go there and incentivize on that behavior.
And I think when you hear incentivize, a lot of it is financial, but you can also do non-financial incentives for the practice.
You can. And that's going back to being on their point and not my point. Now, of course, most people, yes, would like a bump in their paycheck or a bonus or something like that. But there's plenty of people that are like, I don't care about the $200. Like, you could sponsor dinner with them and their wife. You could, hey, if we hit goal, we're going to do a team outing. Or, hey, if we hit our annual goal this year, not just annual goal, we're going to do an epic team trip. You know, you got to understand, too, on an individual basis and a team basis, what motivates these people. Are they financially motivated? Are they community driven? Are they relationship driven? Are they recognition driven? There's some people who would work twice as hard for you just knowing that they're going to get public recognition.
Yep.
A mentor of mine back in the day said that people will go to work for a paycheck, but people will go to war for a medal or a ribbon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's driving these people? You know?
Because a lot of people, in this little psychology right here, a lot of people, when they're growing up, they don't get that admiration at home.
That's right.
So they're constantly through the rest of their life chasing that.
That's right.
And, you know, take this with a grain of salt. We're not telling you to manipulate people, but if you use that in the right way and you foster the place where they want to be, that is going to be so much more than, hey, here's a $10 gift to Starbucks.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, manipulation's such a dirty word. Manipulation can be used for amazing things.
Oh, yeah.
If I can manipulate you to where you make more money, have more fulfillment, enjoy coming to work, have a better home life, isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
I mean, you could almost say that orthodontists are manipulating people's teeth.
Very true.
Just saying. Maybe that's a far shot, but maybe.
So in our last 2 minutes of the live stream, what is the biggest lever that a doctor can pull with the smallest investment to grow in their practice?
Biggest lever to pull. The smallest investment. Oh, easy. Monitor and scrutinize your phone stats.
So what does that mean? Like answer rate?
Yes. That's it. It costs you, well, it might cost you some money if you're using old school phones that don't track metrics. But if you're using a modern phone system, like a VoIP system, it doesn't cost you any money.
Mm-hmm.
If I had $1 for every doctor that I talked to that told me before talking to me or before working with us that they were actively monitoring their phone stats, meaning they knew how many calls come in per day, how many they average per month, and most importantly, they know what their missed call rate is. If I had $1 for every person that said they do this actively, I think I'd have $1.
Wow.
Little bit of a stretch, but it is crazy to me. So that's the biggest lever that you can pull, right? Like a mentor of mine said that, and he's an orthodontist. He said, if you miss one new patient call a day, just one, over the course of a year, you leave $1 million on the table. And then there's people who are like, yeah, I'll spend $100,000 on marketing to make $500,000, which I would take that all day long.
Yeah.
I give you a $5 bill, you give me a $1 bill, you take that deal all day. I'd spend $100 to make $500 all day.
Yeah.
But like, let's just back up for a moment. What if you spent $0 to make $1 million? Whoa. And it's the easiest thing you can do. Like, what do great athletes and great sports teams and high performers do every single day? They watch film.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody saw the Blue Angels documentary on, I think it was on Amazon Prime, and how they prep for a show. They literally watch minute, second by second. Oh, no, your wing was 2 degrees that way. No, we need it half a degree that way. And then they sit and visualize it. Right?
Yeah.
The most valuable thing is the phone call coming in. Every call is worth $5K, $5K, $5K. And then I ask, how many calls do you miss a day? I have no idea, but our marketing doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we're working with somebody who, they were, not growing at the rate they wanted to grow, and they reached out to us and they wanted to spend all this money on marketing, and I said, whoa, hold on, like let's take a step back here. You want to go spend 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand a month on marketing. You've got a 35% conversion rate, which is not good. We have no idea what our phone stats look like. Let's pump the brakes for a moment. So I decided to just see what was going on the phones.
Yeah.
So on the days that she's not seeing patients, she staffs somebody full time to answer the phones. So on the day that she wasn't seeing patients, I called, 3 other people on our team called 4 times in a day. Mind you, there's no patients in the clinic. There's literally just an employee sitting there to answer the phone. We called in the morning, we called late morning before lunch, we called after lunch, we called late afternoon. 4 times. How many times did the phone get answered?
I'm going to say 0.
0. 0. 0. The great Tony Robbins says, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it.
Yep.
And like I said, unless you have an antiquated phone system, this shouldn't cost you any money. If you do have an antiquated phone system, this is the cheapest money you could spend to really know how to grow your practice. The average practice in the United States misses 20% of their phone calls a day. 20%. That is the average practice. I got off a call with somebody a couple weeks ago, and I so appreciate her candor and transparency. She knows it's a problem. They're missing 40% of their calls a day. 40% of the time, somebody is calling to give them money, and they don't answer the phone. So before you spend $1 on any marketing, an ad campaign, a website, whatever, know your phone stats and monitor that weekly. You want to incentivize your front desk? Hey, every week, every month, every whatever, that our answer rate is 95% or higher, here you go. So fast, so easy, should cost you virtually nothing.
Well, there you go, everybody. That is this episode of the Grow Ortho podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed it. Make sure to join us next week. We're going to be diving into more awesome ways to grow and help your practice. Harrison, thanks for being on.
Had a blast. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Y'all have a great week. We will see